Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this December 20th regular meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Holmes?
Here.
Commissioner Frierson?
Here.
Commissioner McDowell?
Here.
Mayor McKinney?
Here. Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bremner, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bremner. Commissioner McDowell, would you lead us in prayer this evening?
Sure. Pastor Corwin Wong was supposed to be here tonight, but in his absence, I'm going to read just a portion of Scripture that relates to what we celebrate this time of year. So Joseph went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judah, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who he was pledged to be married to, and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in clothes and placed him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were afraid. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. For today in the town of David a Savior has been born to you. He is Christ the Lord. And this will be a sign to you. You will find the baby wrapped in clothes, lying in a manger." And suddenly a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, and to men on whom his favor rests." Let's pray. Father, I want to thank you for this time of year, because we commemorate what you did at a particular time in history, in a real place, in real time. You sent your Son, Jesus Christ, into the world. And so, Father, we pray that as these angels sang, that there would be peace on earth and goodwill towards men. We pray that would be the case in our city and in our state and in our country. And Father, we ask that you would give us wisdom tonight at this meeting as we discuss important matters related to the city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner McDowell. Item number 4, agenda changes.
I'd like to make one agenda change and move item 8A to item 8D.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion by Frierson to move item 8A to 8D, and we have a second by McDowell. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries. Item number 5, public hearing for proposed property tax levy for 2022. Is there a motion to go into the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Fisher, second by Holmes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries. And I'll turn it over to our esteemed colleague, our city administrator, David Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I will do my annual spiel of the property tax levy before we open it up to public comments for that portion of the hearing. Back in November, we adopted a estimate of levy through our truth and taxation resolution. Now we're here to actually approve the levy that's before you today, and that'll be further on the agenda. But I kind of wanted to go over the how this works, refresh everyone. Basically, we adopt the levy now. These are the amounts that will be on your bills for next year, May 23, that we'll collect in June and September. So this is actually funds that we're going to use next fiscal year. And this is always a challenge with taxation in Illinois, is we basically have to decide now what we're going to spend or what we're going to need for next year before we even adopt a budget for that year. So they call it collecting it in arrears, but we're kind of always a year out from getting these funds. So we have to project the best possible while also being responsible with public funds for that purpose. So what we have this year is a levy proposed for $8,367,966. That represents a $397,000 increase over the prior year's extension. We can only go up by the lesser of CPI, the Consumer Price Index, or 5%. Typically in the past years, that's been actually the CPI has been very low. There were some years where it was actually like a 0.1 that we could go up on the increase. So this year, as we all know, inflation and CPI has far exceeded that 5%. So we're capped by, on the levy by the 5% if we wanted, as far as the max we could go. Now, the way extensions and property values and levies work is it's formulaic. So if we ask for the same amount as we did last year, what happens is we get property values from the assessor. Property values go up. That multiplied by whatever the rate is how much money we get. That's our levy that we ask for. So if we didn't ask for a dime more, but rates or property values doubled, the rate would drop in half. So a lot of times you'll hear about rate decreases, but a lot of that rate decreases or increases, but a lot of times that has to do more with fluctuations in property values than it does necessarily the levy. What we have here is even with this increase in levy, rates will go down because property values increased by more than what we can even go up in the levy. They're just not going to go down by as much as if we had kept it flat or reduced. So just there's a lot of language that's thrown out about property tax levies and rate changes and things like that. I try to keep it as simple as possible to say that it's basically value times rate to get what we're asking for here. 2022 inflation amounts actually averaged 7.55%, and they're actually predicted to be 3.15% in 2023. So last year when we did our levy, we only went up, I think it was 2%. We basically had those funds to use for this year where costs went up by 8%, and we had to make that manage. We going up by 5% to kind of offset that, but we're going to have inflation again next year. That's still going to be high, so we're kind of trying to catch up. That being said, just to kind of put this in perspective, the city's tax rate would go from 2.22 per thousand of value to 2.08, which is a decrease of 6.3%. But again, that doesn't mean that your taxes are going to go down 6.3% because it's the rate based on the value which is going up. So to put it in kind of real numbers, what I typically do is say, okay, if you had $150,000, a house that was valued at $150,000 last year, assuming a 9.5% increase in value, which is kind of what we're seeing, this impact of this levy would be an additional $28 for the city a year for the city's portion of taxes. So that can kind of give you a perspective of where you're at, maybe on house value or business value, on what that impact would be. Now, that funding goes to a variety of categories that make up our levy. The first one being our general fund, and I'll circle back to that in a second. We also levy funds for street and bridge, fire protection, and ambulance service, which helps cover some of the costs of the fire and rescue department. IMRF, which is the payroll pension for our municipal employees. Liability insurance, which covers our insurance premiums, which have unfortunately been going up as well in the industry. Social Security, payroll taxes that we have to fund, and then the police and fire pension. So out of all those, the street and bridge, the fire protection, and the ambulance service line items, we're actually not increasing the amount we're levying on those lines. The other ones are all statutory and payroll requirements for the amount that we have to put into fire and police pension, the amount we have to put in for the IMRF fund, and the amount we have to pay for payroll taxes. So we don't have really control over those amounts. This is the amount we have to levy. So after all those are taken into account, out of that 8.3 million, 225,000 is what goes to fund the general fund. Out of all of the taxes, 225,000 funds public works, police, fire, building. That is unfortunately a small percentage of the overall levy because it gets kind of gobbled up in those other things. That 225,000 in the general fund with this increased levy is actually down $164,000 from last year. So even increasing the levy, we have $164,000 less to work with to cover our operations. So what we do is we basically have to supplement all the costs of operations through income taxes, replacement taxes, sales taxes, grants, other funding, because we have less to work with every year because we have to levy more in these other areas. To put that, again, a little perspective, if somebody's paying $6,000 in taxes annually, that's to the schools, the library, the city, all the taxing bodies, about $800 of that is what comes to the city. Of that $800, the percent that goes into the general fund, I kind of used Ray as an example in Public Works, but Public Works accounts for about a quarter of our annual budget. The amount that someone pays in taxes annually, $6.50 is what goes to the Public Works Department for plowing, street patching, and replacing. We just got a quote and an estimate that to resurface a block of streets in the $80,000 range. So if somebody lives in their house for 13,300 years, that will cover a block of that street for the taxes that they pay in. So when we say that we think that people get a pretty good value for what they pay in taxes to the city, that's where we're coming from. We understand taxes are high. We don't go into this lightly, but we try and get those funds from other places to make sure we maintain, and that's just Public Works. It's the cost of police, it's the cost of fire. A very small percentage of that actually goes into the operations of the daily, the annual cost of operations for the city. So we don't go into this lightly, but I do feel that based on the inflation, based on the cost of operations, that we do need to go this route, especially with the other increases that we have in these other line items for IMRF, pension, et cetera. I could go into more specifics on each of those line items, but that starts peeling layers off the onion and starts getting a little more detail than a lot of people like to go into. But wanted to give all that background as to how we come to this decision and the reasons for this. We were able to pass a balanced budget this year, but that was based on some one-time dollars and some relief funds, so we can't anticipate that that's happening going forward. If we know that those revenue line items will continue and we continue going in a positive direction, that's why we revisit this projection every year to determine our levy amounts. But for this year, I will be recommending, when we get to that item on the agenda, to pass the levy at the $8,367,966 amount. And with that, I'll turn it back over for any comments from the council or the public, if anyone would like to speak.
Any comments? Mr. Brimmer?
Mr. Knievel,
Yes,
a
sir.
couple of questions for you. First, I believe I've asked you this in the past several years. The 5% cap by law, is that specific to the city, or does that include every taxing body in the state?
That's a state statutory thing. They call it the PTEL, Property Tax Extension Limitation Law, that it's the lesser of 5% or CPI.
Is that strictly for the city, or does that include the library, the park district, the schools? Are they also limited, or can they do what they wish?
I believe they're subject to PTEL, but there's different categories for them. They have different restrictions on their education fund, their transportation fund. Some of those don't have caps on individual line items. I don't want to speak too much out of turn on that because I'm not an expert in their tax levies, but I do know that they are subject to caps in a certain degree, but there are also funds that are uncapped.
And then, would you repeat the dollar, 8 million something?
$8,367,966.
8367
966.
966.
Yes.
On the special meeting on November 28th, the dollar amount was $7,970,260.
That was the 2021 levy amount. That was last year's levy, $7,970,249. That was last year's amount that was levied, that we said, we're gonna go up 5% from that to get to the $8,367,000.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Appreciate your courtesy.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions or comments?
I just want to say that the funds that we have primary control over, I want to commend you, David, for being able to keep those flat. And then the funds that we have some statutory requirements based on state law for retirement funds and pensions, that's what really affects our levy, it seems.
Correct.
And if we were to keep those amounts flat, we would actually have negative funding in our corporate fund. So it's virtually impossible to do that.
Yeah, that's a valid concern going forward, because this year, from an actuarial standpoint, we got a benefit of a good year of performance last year in those pension funds. Typically, the police and fire pension funds, because we put the minimum amount in, go up by about $300,000 or $400,000 a year. Those were flat this year. If those had gone up $400,000, we'd be at zero in the general fund and have to try and start figuring out where else we're going to take money away from. That's a valid concern going forward. If we continue on to the past trends, that next year that $225,000 may actually be gone and then some. So we're always working with legislators, council, and staff to try and, when you talk pension reform, to try and make sure they understand this is what we're talking about, because they have a funding date that's kind of just an arbitrary date that they said you need to be funded by. We keep asking them basically like, almost like you refinance your mortgage if you had, extend the term out or have a rolling term or something to help alleviate this kind of pressure, because it's basically going to eliminate the entire levy. Not a dime of it will be going for general operations.
So there is the potential of some relief. I know we've been working on some legislation on the federal level to get recoup some funds for the nuclear fuel that's stored at our lakefront. But the state really stepped up, our state representatives and legislators, and passed the energy bill, which carved out some funds, potential funds for Zion. And where are we in that process? Do you expect us to have any relief from that bill this year?
I hesitate to say yes, because it is in the hands of the state and DCEO, and we've had DCEO has helped us, but it's a very slow process on when they release funds. So the mayor and I had meetings with DCEO and Representative Mason to talk about where we're at in the process. DCEO is going through basically the grant writing process, what that's going to look like, what the funds have to be used for. That's in their hands. We're kind of at their mercy on how they determine we can use the funds and when they'll be released. I take everything with a grain of salt when they say that we should have funding in 2023. And I don't plan for it until we actually see those funds come in.
That would give us the potential of being able to abate some taxes then if we had that additional revenue.
Potentially. I mean, we'd have to look at that for budget, and that's obviously would be a decision of council at that point.
So there's a little bit of good news.
There's good news, and I don't want to play the eternal pessimist, but I'm very conservative with numbers, and until it's in hand, I don't bank on it.
Yeah, thanks.
Any additional questions? All right, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Holmes,
Second?
second by McDowell. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6 is citizens' comments. Mary Lou Hildebrand.
At the end of the year, I want to say that I personally, as a citizen, appreciate all the hard work that all of you do, how much you care for our city, and how hard you're working to help us keep taxes as low as it can, but still get our stuff done that needs to be done. I personally appreciate it. And I also want to say happy anniversary, Commissioner, for you and Donna, and many more years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 7 is consent agenda.
Approval of minutes of a special meeting held on November 28, 2022 at 12:05 p.m. A regular meeting held on December 6, 2022 at 7 p.m.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved?
Motion by McDowell,
Second.
second by Frierson. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries.
Bills, vouchers 142070 through 142237, drawn on Huntington National Bank N.A., total $750,841.54.
Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
We have a motion by Fisher, second by McDowell. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 8, consider passing resolutions as follows. 8B, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG funds for assistance for public sidewalk replacement and installation of handicap ramps per Director Roberts.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Attached is a resolution that the city is required to pass for the submittal of an application for the 2023 Lake County Community Development Block Grant. Staff is seeking a grant assistance from Lake County for sidewalk replacement and installation of ADA ramps at various locations throughout the city. If the grant is approved, this will provide $80,000 toward an estimated $115,000 project. Funding for the city portion, which is approximately $35K, will be within the proposed of the fiscal year '24 street and bridge budget. Staff requests and recommends approval of the Lake County CDBG resolution.
Is there a motion?
So moved?
Motion by Commissioner McDowell.
Second.
Second by Holmes. Any questions or comments?
Had a couple. I was meeting with some other organizations today, and they were taking feedback from residents in the community. So when we apply for CDBG funds, does that restrict any areas within the community where these funds or programs can be applied, these projects?
Yes, it's driven specifically in the low-income areas.
Okay. And if someone has a specific street or area, do they just contact your department or?
Yes, sir. Call Public Works. We'll send them over to our engineering department. He keeps a list of all the calls of areas for the sidewalks, and then once we will build a list of this. If it's outside of this program, a lot of times we'll take on, we also budget within the street and bridge additional funds, and we'll couple the two together.
Got it. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 8C, authorizing and approving a temporary purchasing policy for the city of Zion per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We've been having quite a bit of challenge on obtaining vehicles. We're kind of in unprecedented times on supply chain issues, manufacturing issues, availability of chips, all that stuff. For example, we approved in the budget purchase 4 service trucks for Public Works. we received notification from the state bid vendor that while we ordered 4, they will be allocating us 1 this year. And so we're trying to find other ways to acquire these vehicles. We'll hear that we're 2 years out on ambulances. We've been having the same issue with squad cars, where we're a year, sometimes months from getting things done and outfitted. We've had multiple instances over the past year where our fleet manager has received calls saying, I have 1 truck or 1 vehicle available, do you guys want it? And we say, well, we have to go to city council, we have to get approval, all that stuff, and they go, take it now or the next person on the list is going to, because everyone's having these challenges. So what we did is we're proposing a temporary purchasing policy under kind of the emergency acts for being able to continue to provide services. We need these trucks, we need squads, we need ambulances, that as long as it's been already budgeted for, and we've gone through the bid process where possible, and when we don't have those vehicles available, if something comes up or we're able to find a vehicle that meets our needs, that I would have authority to purchase that vehicle, again, if already approved under budget, notifying the mayor as soon as possible, and then ratifying that purchase in front of council at the next meeting, so that we don't miss out on these opportunities to acquire the vehicles we need. So that's what this amendment to the purchasing policy is, that I'm requesting approval of tonight.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the temporary purchasing policy?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fisher,
Second?
second by McDowell. Any questions?
I had a question about the temporary nature. Are we putting an expiration date on this policy, or is this good for a year, 2 years?
It's probably on an as-needed basis. If we start seeing it, I would expect it to be in place until we start seeing basically normal response times for ordering and bid responses. You know, if we have this in place and we're able to get the vehicles we need through the normal processes, this provision of the purchasing policy would never come into play anyway. So it's kind of when, if I need to use it, that emergency need is still in place. If we're able to go through the normal response time, normal bid processes and get vehicles as needed, then we're covering our existing purchasing policy anyway.
Got it.
Any additional questions? We have a first and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item 8D, authorizing and approving the City of Zion to enter into an application for a community development block grant. Per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you again, Mayor and Commissioners. I was talking with Eric Bradley, the director of the Park District, and we have a good relationship with the other taxing bodies, and they were talking about doing a demolition of their maintenance building and trying to figure out where to get funding from. We told them that we've had good luck with demolition projects through CDBG through the county, and made the connection with the county for them to apply for that funding. However, based on the use of CDBG, it has to go to municipalities. Additionally, they have to show that it goes for the area of the municipality that's supporting that project. Additionally, they haven't worked with the Park District on these types of projects in the past. So basically, they said, would the city support this project? Would they basically vouch for the Park District by adopting a resolution saying we support this? This is going to benefit the community under the terms of CDBG, which we do support that. I did confirm that it does not affect the city's allocation of funding for CDBG, so it doesn't take away from the sidewalk programs or other demolition programs that we would be up for. So this is just a good, again, we try to look out for each other's whenever possible. They have taxpayer funds that they use for their operations too, so if we can help them get grants to offset some of those costs, we wanted to work with them on that. So that's what this resolution is basically supporting their endeavor and letting the county know that we support their project through CDBG.
All right, is there a motion to enter into this application for community development block grant?
So moved.
Motion by Fryerson.
Second.
Second by Holmes, echoed by McDowell. Any questions, comments?
Good collaboration.
All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item 8A, resolution of commendation, design public safety personnel per Mayor McKinney. On December 2nd, 2021, design officers were dispatched to a possible suicidal person on the pedestrian bridge of the Robert McClory bike path. As he arrived, Officer Gonzalez encountered a 13-year-old female in crisis. The juvenile began to climb the guardrail on the bridge and intended to jump. This would have caused possible severe physical injury or possibly death. Officer Gonzalez did not hesitate and acted immediately as he ran across the bridge to the juvenile and pulled her down from the rail as she was climbing. He held her and comforted her until she was calm enough to walk on her own to the ambulance for transport. Officer Gonzalez did not hesitate, took decisive and immediate action, and as a result prevented serious injury or death. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this resolution of recommendation for Officer Gonzalez.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Frierson, second by Fisher. And I would like to read this before we go into the voting portion of it. A resolution of commendation presented to Eric Gonzalez for your dedication to the preservation of the public health and safety of the citizens of the city of Zion, Illinois, and for your actions on December 6th as 2021 as a member of the Zion Police Department. We are hereby presenting you with a life-saving award. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries. Officer Gonzalez, would you step forward, please?
Can't get away from the pictures.
Oh, wait, give me, stop. I was just. Sorry,
Can I get a rest of your brothers and sisters up here?
Get them on, everyone.
Should have known better. You show up, you're in pictures.
Is my Under Armour order that bad? All right, can we get our commissioners in this?
Well, let me get you officers, and we get the commissioners, okay? Can we do that? Please, right there. One more right there. Okay, commissioners, let's get the commissioners in there. Please.
We have enough room.
You're gonna be posted.
One, two, three. That's awesome.
Here we go, guys. Right there, right there. One, and one more, right there for giggles and grins. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. I really appreciate the supporting officers coming in off of duty to show up and support their colleague. But Officer Gonzalez and our police department do a terrific job in our community. And I know Chief Barton, we've talked about interacting with our citizens on non-enforcement issues. And when something like this happens, to recognize that and to be able to save a life, it's heroic, it's courageous, and it's just looking out for our residents. And we're trying to help our residents understand that not only are our police officers looking out for them, but as Mary Lou Hildebrand said, the commissioners, the people that live in the city, we have to continue to look out for one another and support one another. Our country is in crisis. There's a lot going on, and for our community to continue to be strong and to be built stronger, we've got to continue to work together like this. So, Officer Gonzalez, again, thank you so much for what you do and for what you did for the family of that young lady that you saved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 9, consider passing ordinance as follows. 9A, providing for the levy and taxes for the city of Zion, Lake County, Illinois for tax levy year 2022 to be collected in the year beginning January 1st, 2023 and ending December 31st, 2023 per Administrator Canable.
Follow that with the tax levy. Thanks for that. So, as mentioned in the public hearing, I'd recommend the approval of the 2022 tax levy in the amount of $8,367,966 for the purposes set forth in the ordinance.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fisher,
Second.
second by Holmes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number B, 9B is providing for the allocation of funds for the Special Tax Allocation Fund for the South Sheridan Road redevelopment project area per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you again, Mayor. TIF number 3, which is the South Sheridan Road TIF district, that covers the Kmart Plaza, that covers where the Popeyes is going in, the Tui Lumber property, but it also extends down to where Hughes Place was, Old Bill's Custard, Hardee's, for those that go back that far. This TIF is actually, the last day of this TIF is tomorrow. What this does is earmark $300,000 to address in the last year after a closure of a TIF, we basically have a wrap-up period where we expend all committed funds, wrap up all projects. That's when we're going to be doing the big infrastructure project that was already approved. What this does is earmark $300,000 of those funds for the final projects in that TIF area, as we wrap up final development opportunities, potential demolition, basically leave the TIF in as good of a state as possible so that it can still kind of continue doing its work for development beyond the life of the existing TIF. So this earmarks those funds before the closure date tomorrow.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fisher,
Second?
second by McDowell. Questions or comments?
Administrator, do we have any projects in mind for these funds, or?
So the property that we're primarily concerned with is the old Hughes Place. There was significant damage internally. There's external renovations that would probably need to be done. We're working closely with the owner to attract new development, and if not, basically, if it doesn't make sense to invest funds in there for renovation for a specific purpose, to potentially demolish that and make it available for redevelopment, just so we don't have a long-term kind of blighted property there.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item 9C as a cookie, extending a variance from Zion Municipal Code Section 102-606, parenthesis 8, Article 12, adult use cannabis for property located at 3101 to 3199 16th Street, per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Elevated Organics LLC is requesting a 180-day extension to their variance for the adult cannabis infuser and adult use processor for the project at the property located at 3101 to 3199 16th Street.
Is there a motion to extend the variance?
So moved.
Motion by Holmes,
Second?
second by McDowell. Questions or comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 9D, extending a variance from Zion Municipal Code Section 102-608, parentheses 8, Article 12, adult use cannabis for property located at 3101, 30 through 3199 16th Street per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, Elevated Organics LLC is requesting a 180-day extension for the variance for the Cannabis Transportation Organization for the same location, 3101 to 3199 16th Street.
Is there a motion to extend the variance?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Holmes, second by Fisher. Questions or comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 9E, extending a special use permit to operate an adult use cannabis craft grow for property located at 3101 through 3199 16th Street per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, Elevated Organics LLC is requesting a 180-day extension to their special use permit for the location at 3101 to 3199 16th Street.
Is there a motion to extend the special use permit for the adult use cannabis craft grow?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Holmes, second by Fisher. Questions, comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 10, discussion, authorization, approval. 10A, consider approval of the renewal contract for HVAC maintenance for city facilities per Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Northern Weathermakers has had the maintenance contract for the city facility for the past 11 years. During this time, they were able to maintain and keep our aging equipment up and running. Staff is recommending to renew their annual contract for $17,302.
Is there a motion to approve the renewal contract for the HVAC maintenance?
Make the motion.
Motion by Holmes,
Second?
second by McDowell. Questions? Comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 10B, consider approval of ambulance purchase for the fiscal year 2024 through 25 per Chief Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Attached to this document in front of you is detailed information related to the potential purchase of our next ambulance, projected to be delivered 540 to 720 days, that's 18 to 24 months from the time that the work order would be approved. This means funding for this purchase would most likely be figured in the fiscal year 24-25 budget, or possibly the 25-26 budget, depending on the state of approval, construction, supply chain issues, etc. Even though we recently took delivery of our newest ambulance, the next approval for purchase is necessary due to the lengthy time frame it will take to obtain this next one. Further delays in ordering the next one will increase the time to deliver as well as result in higher costs. I provided the costs, specifications, and drawings, as well as detailed data of our current fleet for you to review. This one will replace one of the two older ambulances. The exact one will be determined closer to the date of delivery after conferring with our Public Works Fleet Maintenance Division. I point that out because it doesn't necessarily mean the ambulance with the highest mileage would be the one to go. It just depends on the condition of the two oldest, roughly 1.5 to 2 years from now. I'm requesting approval of this purchase agreement as presented for a total cost of $285,273. The purchase is through the HGAC Cooperative Purchasing Program, which has already conducted the bid process for these components. Also, please note this figure does not include the power load stretcher system that will be necessary to be purchased separately. I will be working with Administrator Nabel and our Finance Director to determine the best course of action for that purchase in a future budget year. Grant funding is a possibility for that additional purchase as well.
All right. Is there a motion to consider the approval of the ambulance purchase?
So moved.
Motion by Frierson,
Second?
second by McDowell. Any questions or comments?
I guess we could talk about that at a later time, but I'm assuming we'll, if this really is 25, 26, we'll just allocate in capital funds over the next couple of years.
Correct.
Any additional questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 10C, consider approval of the City of Zion annual calendar per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you again, Mayor. On behalf of Clerk Spooner, we are required annually to adopt the holiday schedule and the meeting schedule date for 2023 prior to year end. So I would recommend approval of the holiday listing and the city council meetings as presented. Please note that, and we'll say in the announcements, but the January 3rd meeting, due to being right after the day after holiday and the holiday dates that we have upcoming, has been canceled, so it's not included on this adopted date of meetings.
All right, is there a motion to consider the approval of the City of Zion annual calendar?
Just have a question before we do that. So our offices are closed on July 4th, and yet we have a council meeting on July 4th. Can we cancel the council meeting on July 4th?
Let me catch that, because one of those seems off. It's Tuesday. July 4th is a Tuesday? Ooh. Yeah, I mean, if council doesn't have objection to canceling on the July 4th,
Yeah, so that'd be my motion that we.
pretty sure
adopt-
nobody would
we
want
adopt
to.
this calendar,
You're welcome to attend on it.
canceling the July 4th meeting.
Oh, so we have the approval of the City of Zion annual calendar with the adjustment being the cancel of the July 4th City Council meeting. And we have a motion and a second. Yes?
I don't have a record of the motion in seconds.
Okay, can we have a motion?
So
I
moved.
made the motion.
Motion by McDowell.
Second.
Second by Holmes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Item number 10D, consider appointment of Finance Director per Mayor McKinney. So we've gone through a long process of looking for a Finance Director so that Administrator Nabel will be able to take off one hat and address some of the other really important issues with the city. And after a long process, the city came to an agreement and found the right person in Chris Conway. And she's here. I've had an opportunity to meet her before the council meeting, as some of us did. So is there a motion to consider the appointment of our new finance director, Chris Conway?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Fisher, second by Holmes. Questions or comments?
To say something, you talk about collaboration, Commissioner Holmes. We've been trying to search for a while for this position, have not had much luck. It's very difficult right now to hire in a lot of professions. Finance is no different, much less somebody with municipal accounting experience. However, we were actually Chris was referred to us, and we were referred to Chris through the David number 2 or number 1, depending on who's in the room, the administrator up in Winthrop Harbor, who worked with Chris prior. So again, during those relationships with the surrounding taxing bodies, we found a candidate that has been better than anything, that has municipal experience, that has the accounting knowledge and experience, that is not something we would have got through other channels. So she'll be starting after the new year, and we look forward to her being on here, and you can have me shut up on some of these finance things, and she'll take over on future presentations. So welcome her aboard.
Yes, and Chris is spelled with a K.
Correct.
For anyone that was curious. So, we have a motion and a second. In the comments by Administrator Nabel, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks. I should have left about 5 minutes.
The fun begins now.
You're stuck now.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Any words you'd like to offer us?
No, it's been great meeting everyone tonight, and I really am excited for the new year. I'm excited to come on. Everyone I've met has been great, and I think this is really gonna work out well for everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard again.
Very good.
All right, number 11, departmental commentary. Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were contacted by Waste Management earlier today. Due to the weather, they're gonna start their garbage service pickup Thursday at 5 a.m. They're anticipating they might not be able to pick up on Friday, and they'll move till Friday or Saturday pickup, so they just wanted to notify the residents that they'll be out early Thursday to try to beat the weather, and possibly Saturday to make up for Friday.
Okay, thank you, Director Ianson, and we'll try to put that out on our Facebook page, on our city website, and the different Facebook pages, so our residents will understand what's happening. Thank you for that. Director Roberts.
Thanks, sir. As Director Ianson kind of alluded to, many of you may have heard the prediction for this end of this week is anywhere between 5 and 12 inches of snow. They're predicting right now Thursday possibly 3 to 4, and then up to 12 on Friday. It's Christmas. So I just would like to have people understand the drivers will be out, making a nice path so you can open your presents and eat your turkey. Please understand, you see them way better than they see you, especially during a snowstorm. We will be continually out there. As if you've ever looked at our website, our main goal is always primary streets first on a heavy storm. An average storm, which is maybe around 4 inches, will take us around 9 hours to plow. So anything after that, you can understand that it takes a little longer. We will, as I was alluding to, start off with primaries, then we'll transfer over to secondaries. Alleys are always last. I know everybody knows that. You may not be able to get to alleys until 2 or 3 days after a heavy storm. But please pay attention. And I know it's going to be heavily traveled. And we're going to try and do our best keeping those open for people to go visit and have a good holiday with their families.
All right, thank you, Director Roberts, and we'll put that information out on our respective pages as well. And I would ask our residents too, that during this time when we have heavy snow, just remember if there's a fire hydrant near your house, to take some initiative and to plow it out, shovel it out, make sure that your fire hydrants are always available in the event there's a fire in the area. I know that our public works crew, they go by the streets and they cover everything, but I think it's important for us to realize there's more citizens, 25,000 citizens here, 120 employees in the city of Zion, so that little bit of help that you give with the fire hydrants helps, and it's a life safety matter for the residents in your area. Chief Street.
Good evening again. I just wanted to say thank you for the support of our department, and our vehicle purchases is very important for the short term, but also the long term. I also wanted to clarify just briefly, I've talked about it a couple times at the last couple meetings, the Be Alarmed smoke alarm program that we've joined into with the Office of the State Fire Marshal and the Illinois Fire Safety Alliance. Information is on our Facebook page as well as the website, so I would urge anybody to check that out. I won't go into full detail here. But the one thing I wanted to clarify is, yes, this specific program is geared toward owner-occupied single-family homes in the city. But if there is a renter or a tenant who does not have a working smoke alarm in their apartment or home, we do want to know about it. And we may not be able to activate this program with that, but we will work, whether it's with the building department, to get the owner to provide what he is required to by law. So we do want to know from a renter or a tenant if they don't have working sport alarms, and we're gonna work to fix that problem. So I want to get that out there as well, and just to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Gotcha. Beat him to the punch.
I was gonna say, I didn't call you.
I know. Again, also Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year going into this new year. It's a bright year for us in the city, and Chris, thank you for coming aboard. A couple things, we've heard a lot of weather concerns over this next couple days. A lot of it was wind. I've got a notification on my phone from my own residents for power outages and whatnot. So I just wanted to bring up that we're working with local taxing bodies to identify warming centers. The police department will be a warming center. We have a generator. Hopefully, if hopefully power doesn't go out, if needed, we will have that available. Vehicle safety is a big one. We always see these cars driving down. I saw a meme of 3 feet of snow on top of a car driving down the road. Make sure you clean your car off, so not just so that people can see your headlights and taillights and stuff, but also so that we don't have a collision because of a snow event that's happened from snow falling off of your car into another. So clean the snow off and slow down during these events. And then lastly, be mindful of your neighbors, especially the elderly, to help them clear their driveways or get out of their alleyways if needed. We don't need to have unnecessary medical events for those individuals while they're cleaning snow.
Thank you. I'll expect you by my house.
I thought he was going to get it, but
Since you offered.
that's all I had.
All right. One thing that you mentioned, Chief Barton, was the power outages. We've had a meeting with ComEd, and they have notified us that the power outages in our area are well below the standards of a lot of the other areas, and they are looking to fortify some of the information, the infrastructure here in the future, so that we continue to be on that path. But also, when there's a power outage, they are in direct contact with us at the city to let us know how many residents are out of power and how quickly it's being restored. And we always post that information on our website and Facebook pages, but it's just a case of cooperation between the entities that we have to work with as well as the taxing bodies. Administrator Nabel?
Thank you. I think you've heard enough from me tonight, but I will just, I see you shaking, nodding your head. That was subtle. As I ask for goodwill towards men from our residents, again, as people are celebrating Hanukkah going on now and Christmas and Kwanzaa coming up, as Commissioner McDowell mentioned, it's been a rough year for a lot of people. It's been amplified by social media, fighting, families are having a harder time than ever. Mental health is a big challenge. I'm going to ask the mayor to talk about 211 in his comments, but just keep in mind that what this season is for, and just take the opportunity to mend fences, be good to each other. We have a whole year ahead of us to build off of, so just keep that in mind and realize that really we all are very blessed when grand scheme of things, all things considered, and be grateful for what we have.
All right. Thank you, Administrator Nabel. Commissioner McDowell?
Yeah, just like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And quote what the angel said, may there be peace on earth and goodwill towards men. And one last thing. Today is my wife and I, my 42nd wedding anniversary, so happy anniversary. Spent it at City Council.
How romantic.
Yeah.
We all chipped in for a council meeting as a president.
Commissioner Frey?
Yeah, so just again, happy holidays, and I think it was mentioned to be grateful for those things that we do have, and I mean, I'm thankful for our council, our department heads, and the work that everyone has done throughout the year and continues to do. I know that it's not easy work. I know that it takes a lot of collaboration and, you know, even outside of the sarcasm that allows us to blow off some steam sometime. I know that we do have a very passionate group, and like I say, I commend you and I'm thankful for that. So I know one call out that we had from our township meeting, we have a new assessor in our office, and they got 2 basic awards from the county, which one was coming in with first with the highest percentage of cases that had no change in valuations for the county, and then came in second with the lowest percentage of cases that were granted a reduction. And so that's just one example of our department heads and the work and the passion and energy that people do to do a great job in trying to make sure that things stay tip-top around here. So, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Fisher?
Just basically echoing what's already been said. Happy holidays to everyone. And I want to thank all the department heads, all the employees for the city. It's been a rough year. Hopefully next year will be a little bit smoother. But thank you all for the hard work that you've done, and look forward to working with you again another year.
Thank you. Commissioner Holmes?
I echo that sentiment as well. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. This time of year, lately I've been seeing more and more people talk about how depressed, just depression in general. You know, we know that around the holidays, people, you know, there's a lot of deaths, reported deaths. I am recommending that people check in on your neighbors. You know, it could be a call or just to check in on your neighbors and, you know, be safe. And I also want to say thank you for the department heads and all the City of Zion employees who work very, very hard around the clock. We know that all too well. The last thing I would say is the Arkansonians in the house. What time are you guys leaving on Wednesday? Okay. All right. Safe travels back.
All right.
They're not happy,
They want to see a foot of snow? You're the only ones.
Be careful what you wish for. Attorney Vasselli, did you have any comments? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and the holidays are a time to spend with your family and friends, and this is the best work family that you could ask for. So thank you all very much for all your support, and thank you for your leadership, Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen of the board.
All right. Everyone seemed to touch on some of the issues that I wanted to, or items that I wanted to talk about this evening, and one of them was the mental health crisis that we're having in our community, but also our country. And today, talking about togetherness and working with taxing bodies, I met with District 6, their new interim superintendent today, and they are eager to form a partnership with us, our police department in particular, and working with the youth and identifying youth that have issues that we are seeing manifested in our streets so that they can direct them to the proper resources for any help that they might need outside of the home and inside of the home. So I will give you their information. Chief Barton, it was a really productive conversation about how they want to partner with all of us to make our city a better place. This past week, we had the tree lighting ceremony at the Park District, which was very well attended in spite of the frigid temperatures. But it was so wonderful. It was much like the 4th of July event, but with a little different weather, that so many people came out to celebrate and to fellowship together. We're seeing more of that. We're seeing more of what our city really signifies, and that's a loving spirit within our community. The District 6 and District 126 choirs did a fabulous job. The Park District had hot chocolates, some more. Santa Claus was there. He even brought me in on a sleigh from Evanston because I was actually at a game earlier in the afternoon. So there's been a lot of collaboration with all of our taxing bodies and trying to do everything we can to do the best job possible for our citizens. And each and every one of us works hard at it. We sometimes take our work home, but we're serious about what we're doing. I know that everyone that comes to these council meetings, they love our city. People that I've talked to within our city that don't attend the council meetings, they want the best for our cities as we continue our outreach in informing our stakeholders what we're doing in our community, the better we're going to be in 2023. So I would say with that, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. And I would say let's just keep one thing in mind as we continue to deal with the mental health issues in our community and with our fellow man. Just be kind. It goes a long way. If some days you are passing your neighbor, and I saw some of my neighbors out putting out Christmas decorations, and I just stopped to tell them how beautiful their decorations looked and if they had it done professionally. Those little conversations and connections that you make with your neighbors or somebody on a different side of town make all the difference in uniting us as a community. I know our police department do it, I know our commissioners do it, and I thank you for what you do. I thank our department heads for putting up with me the last 4 years, my zany sense of humor, our city employees, our residents, and our commissioners. You've been nothing but absolutely terrific to work with. I've worked in it for 40 years before moving back to Zion. I worked in a team environment called the NBA. And I can say this without hesitation. I've never worked around a better set of teammates than I've worked with the people here and the commissioners and the department heads and the employees of the city of Zion. So thank you for the countless work that you do when nobody knows what we're doing. Commissioner, you work with the Coalition of Healthy Communities, the ELF Network, our outreach in the community and posting things on Facebook so our residents are informed. It takes time and it takes people that care to be able to do that. So thank you for the privilege of being able to work with you for the last 4 years and moving forward. Number 12, announcements on December 23rd, try that again. Take two. December 23rd, December 26th, December 30th, and January 2nd, city offices are closed for the holidays. On January 3rd, our first meeting of the city council will be canceled to allow our employees and everyone to spend more time with their families as we usher in the new year. January 17th, we'll be back at it at 6 p.m. There's a Zion Township Board meeting, and at 7 p.m. on January 17th, there's a Zion City Council meeting. With that, moving to the next item, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Dave is looking at me.
We're no longer doing close.
No.
Second.
I just want to make sure we.
So we have a motion by McDowell, second by Frierson, and a puzzled look from Administrator Nabel.
Always.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for coming. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and stay warm and drive safely.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Don't threaten me with a good time.